Good morning, everyone. This is Luciana Turner, the LT&A Company, bringing you this morning's LT&A Contractors Conversation. Welcome. You know what? I have a slight glare coming from the light behind me. That's normally there, not there. Okay, that's better. Whew. I'm going to give everybody a chance to get into the room. As you enter, you know, say hello, say good morning. As always, you can drop your questions in the chat box. And if there's time, if there's not a natural pacing to this thing, and if it fits into the content, I'll answer live. If it's something that doesn't really fit into the content, I'll answer either if enough people ask the question, I'll answer in another masterclass, or I'll just shoot you with email or comment back as a direct response. Well, this morning we're here to discuss the president's actually it's $3 trillion American, I believe, what is this thing called? I mean, they're calling it the American Rescue Plan. Mm. And it has a total price tag actually of $3 billion. 1 billion is total social projects. 2 trillion, oh sorry, 2 billion. I'm not used to saying B. 2 billion has been totally earmarked for infrastructure. I so the purpose of this is to delve into one, what does the $2 trillion package look like? What is it composed of? And two, what what does it mean to you? There are things that we need to, as business owners, start doing the groundwork now. We need to become engaged. We need to start making it and position ourselves for partnership. Now, unfortunately, we see a lot of these big projects, excuse me, we see a lot of these big projects go to some of the same companies. But oftentimes that happens because, quite frankly, small businesses do not position themselves in the right room. They allow them to get in conversations. And this is what I want to know. What is out there? What is coming down the pipe? And how, I'm going to pause for a minute, as I say, pause for the cause. And this is not a political post. So any comments not business related, any comments not focusing on partnering and how we can unite and go after deals formation will be deleted. This is not for political posturing, pontification, none of that stuff. We are solely here to look at the opportunities on the horizon and go for it. We're not here for any of that other stuff. This is not the platform for it. I just have to say that. We are all business professionals, and if you're not, this is not the platform for you. I'm just saying. We all expect a certain number of trolls. Unfortunately, people make a living just being who they are. Uh, and we just going to ignore the trolls as they do what they do. So let's go forward. The $2 trillion stimulus that was actually passed March 9th entails multiple moving parts. HR 2, which was just passed, allocated 1 trillion to social welfare, as I stated previously, and 2 trillion to infrastructure. Now, the social welfare piece included the stimulus payouts that some people benefited from and some people didn't. It also included, if I'm not correct, and excuse me from time to time, I'm going to sip coffee or water because my throat gets dry. It also entailed the child tax credit, but the $2 trillion is very progressive and it's very aggressive. It's being touted and compared actually to Roosevelt's New Deal. Um, it's being equated to the introduction to Social Security. And that is, in and of itself, a huge comparison if anybody understands history. So let's get this party started. Manufacturing is going to see an influx of $300 billion. And that's an in $300 billion. There has been an earmarking of 213 billion to retrofitting and the development of new affordable housing across the country. So it's going to be retrofitting and updating of existing affordable housing, and then the development and building of new affordable housing. And what the significance of that is simply that's going to be putting carpenters, electricians, uh, HVAC. You're going to see a lot of the tradesmen get a lot of work out of this. You're going to see an uptick in construction because of that. There's going to be 500,000 vehicle recharge stations are going to be built across this country. And that was actually a campaign promise Biden made during the election that he was going to do this whole reform as it came to environmental impact. He really campaigned on I'm sorry, he really campaigned on turning this country around and making environmental goals a priority of this administration. And you're seeing it in this package with this emphasis on clean energy, solar energy, and with this emphasis on the 500,000 vehicle recharge stations. Now, I don't even know if we have that many electric cars on the road to warrant that number of recharge stations. But then again, the flip side would be more people would invest in these vehicles if there were more recharge stations across the country, making it viable for them to travel with them. So I guess you could, chicken egg conversation here. However, that's a massive amount of electrical work and electrical engineering and electrical design work that is going to come into play. So engineering firm, that's an uptick in work for you guys. So, if you're a small firm, now I'm not saying that you're going to be able to do 500,000 stations. However, you can get in on the groundwork and look for subcontracting work. There is a great deal of studies being done currently on the environmental impact of all of this. So if you're a research, search, and development firm, there has been $200 billion assigned to a contract vehicle that was awarded to actually CFDA number 11.802, which is a federal procurement center. No, that's a grant. Excuse me. I I'm sorry. Here it is. W911SK 14-2-001 is a cooperative agreement in the amount of $86 million that is dedicated to research and development. And all you have to do is join this consortium. And I'm developing a resource guide that's going to be available on my website. You don't have to do an opt in, it'll be available on the website for direct download. You don't have to do an opt in to get the website, to get the resource guide. But however, so if you're into research and development, that's great for you guys. But to go back to my original point, if you're an electrical and engineering firm, that is a great opportunity for you because even the designing of this, how do you install 500,000 vehicle recharge stations across this country? How does it affect the power grid? How do you tap into the power grid? There's going to be updating to the existing power grids that exist across the country. You see the domino effect here. You see the existing work. You see why this is being touted as the great American rescue plan because the economy has taken a hit due to the COVID restrictions. Once again, this is not a political post, this is not political pontificating, but quite frankly, all of the shutdowns around COVID has shrunk our economy and it has placed people out of work and it has shrunk our tax basis. Therefore, this plan was designed specifically to recharge our economy. Now, once again, we're going to go look at the DoD because DoD is seeing a great influx. If you're looking at anything in the news, whew, there was a technology modernization fund set up that was given a $1 billion fund. So if you were an IT firm, I would definitely, definitely have my eye on that fund. I know GSA is trying to step up to administer that. Do not jump out there and try to develop a schedule. That's not what I'm saying. And GSA is not administrating it. They want to, and that decision has not been made. But there's $1 billion out there for technology modernization. There is another out there um, for cyber security and DoD. That budget, I didn't have a chance to really scroll around into that budget too much before today's thing. Life happens sometimes, and I gave myself the grace of saying life happens. It does. But yeah, if you're into cybersecurity, now here's the thing. If you're looking to do any type of work with the Department of Defense, there has been a new security requirement slap on there. It's a cybersecurity maturity model certification. And there's some pushback, there's some grumbling in there because apparently, I haven't looked into it, but apparently it is pricey and it's cumbersome to get this certification. However, it is a gatekeeper to doing work with the Department of Defense. So if you don't have this certification, I would suggest that you look to subcontract so that you can come under the certification of the prime while you get your firm certified. But if you're looking at DoD in any way, shape, or form, in any of the departments within DoD, Navy, Army, Air Force, Department of Defense, period, in the discussion, your firm really should be looking into that certification. What is it? What does it entail to get it? What does it look like in your company? How long does it take to get certified? All of these things are going to be major factors and being eligible to bid on anything within the Department of Defense, quite frankly, because the CIO is doubling down. He wants this certification and he is not backing down. And quite frankly, it doesn't look like he's going anywhere anytime soon. So therefore, you're stuck with this certification. So you're going to have to look to see how to get it. And that's another thing. While we're talking about Biden's proposal package, we also need to talk about the barriers that exist. We need to talk about what are the tools the government is using and utilizing to guarantee the work and the pay and how that affects you as a subcontractor. Jobs were put on hold, eliminated when the pipeline project was halted. This plan was to replace those jobs and to create new ones. A lot of people have a concern about the pay scale. And the answer this administration gave concerning the pay scale really rests within the government enacting and resting upon current laws, i.e., labor agreements that are currently in place, the Davis Beacon Act, and some other acts. And these are important that you understand them, you understand what these clauses are, and how they affect you as a government contractor. Because if you do not understand how they affect you as a government contractor, you can become non compliant in their application. and you cannot gain the and you will not gain the full benefit of them as a subcontractor if you do not understand how they're supposed to be applied as a sub to a prime. And quite frankly, it is your responsibility to understand that it is not the prime's responsibility to explain to you every subtle nuance that there is in contract. The understanding is when you go into government contracting that you hold a certain level of understanding, and that is your responsibility. That is not the prime. So, but I'm gonna go back to the package containing. This administration is has a great push for businesses to do a lot of collaborations with HBCUs. So we're going to see a lot of contracting initiatives and partnerships coming out of HBCUs in federal contracting. Now, a lot of those initiatives you're going to see more in the research and development range. Now, there is a website, and as I said, I'm developing a resource guide that'll be available on my website. And my website, I will drop it in the comment box for you. I'm not expecting you to like pick up on it, but it's https colon backslash backslash sites.ed.gov backslash HBCU. That is the White House Initiative on HBCU. That website is going to give you information on the contracting and the committee stuff that's going to be coming out on what the White House wants to do with partnering with the HBCUs and everything going forward. So there's this big push for industry to really partner, and that's a part of the diversity and inclusion that this administration has going on. There's going to be a lot of new initiatives coming out of the Department of Energy and the National Institution of Health. And there's going to be a council of national telecommunications. Um, There's going to be a lot of new work coming out of there. Their budget, I wasn't able to dig down to see exactly how they delegated their money in time for this masterclass. I will probably release that later on, but it's going to be interesting. But there's $621 billion was earmarked for the modernization of transportation, and that is huge. Virginia has already had a press release and announcements of a partnership with CSX and Amtrak, where they're not only modernizing the Virginia rail, they're expanding. They're going to connect Virginia with New York and Virginia with northern North Carolina and West Virginia. So they're going to make it so you can actually live in West Virginia and work in the state of Virginia. They're going to make it so you can live in Southern Virginia and work in New York if you want to. They actually, and we can't keep expanding 95. They finally understand that. So they're going to make it commuter friendly now. If anybody live in the DMV area, I've lived in that area for years. I lived in Maryland, but I worked in Virginia. It really was a 30-minute drive from my home to my job. With traffic, it took me an hour and 15 minutes to get to work solely because of traffic. And getting home, I had the time when I left work. And if I didn't leave work at a particular time, I just stayed at work. And one night, traffic was so bad, I actually pulled off and went had dinner because traffic was so bad, and I was just sitting there so long. I just pulled off, went to a restaurant, had dinner, and then after having dinner, I walked around the mall. And by that time, traffic had died down enough, so I went home. So to ease congestion and get some of these cars off the road, they're expanding rail traffic. They're finally going to move freight rail service onto a separate track. But I say all that to say this: new construction and housing, redevelopment. You see, if any of my real estate investors are on this call, real estate investment is going to go through the roof. Any of my construction workers, construction companies on this call, track lane, my electrical people on this call. You see what I'm saying? The work is there. Start doing the groundwork. Get in early instead of waiting till late. Our small businesses do not position themselves. We wait too late and then want to complain that the big guys get off work. So I'm going to end this at this point. I don't see any questions in the chat box. So at this time, I'm going to end the presentation. There was a lot more that I can talk about, but I don't want to inundate anyone. So if you have questions, you can drop them in the chat box. I'm Luciana Turner of the LT&A Company. I hope you found value in this content. The recording will stay up until next Friday. Then it comes down. As you know, with my master classes, I allow the recordings to stay up for a week and then I take them down. So have a great week, and I will see you Monday morning on Morning Tidbit. Have a great day.